Welcome to this episode of Creatively Speaking. I'm Leanna Weller-Smith, the Executive Creative Director at Weller-Smith Design, and in this episode I'll be speaking with Susie Mordoh, the founder of award-winning event planning company Greater Than We and creator of lifestyle brand Feel the Love. Susie and I will be talking about her transformational card deck, Feel the Love, how the idea came about, what happened in the process of creating it, and how she uses this as a tool for her business on multiple levels. We talk about how she uses it with nonprofits, how it acts as a second revenue stream for her, and how the process goes the whole way through fulfillment. We talk about all the little nooks and crannies of creating a customized product like this. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Lots of great information here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out at wellersmithdesign.com, and I hope you enjoy this episode.
Hi, Susie. I'm so excited for us to have this chat today. We've been trying to schedule this for quite some time, and I know our schedules have just been busy. So I'm so glad to finally get to talk with you. I would love for you to just introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about you, your business, what you do, and we'll talk about some of the good stuff that you have going on.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for asking me to be on this. And I want to introduce myself. I'm Susie Mordoh. I'm the owner of Greater Than We, which is an award-winning event planning company. But I also have another side to me where I'm the creator of the Feel the Love transformation card deck. And that is something that Leon and I worked on together that I am really excited to talk about today.
Yeah, and what's exciting too is like Susie and I, we met, has it been 4 years ago?
Something
around there. It's been about 4 years ago. We met at a women's event and we just hit it off. And I thought that that was really cool. We sat next to each other. We had a lot of stuff in common. And, we started, meeting up with each other once a month, and we were talking about things that we wanted to do. And I think what was really cool is the one big project that we did work on together was one that both you and I had always wanted to do, but we just didn't know how to partner and find somebody to help us with it. So I'd love for you just to tell us a little bit about this product that we are kind of alluding to, but just tell us like what made you want to start it and how we did get started.
That is always fun for me to talk about. And what we're talking about is this Feel the Love transformation card deck. And if any of you are into positive affirmations, it's not a tarot card deck, which a lot of people think. This is a great tool to kind of keep a positive mindset. Now, it was something that when we first met was in the back of my mind, something I wanted to do, but had zero idea how to execute it. I mean, I was busy planning events, and this sort of seemed like, why is she off in left field doing this? But it was a passion project for me because these messages were things that helped me transform my life at a time when I needed to. And I just wanted to share those messages. I felt like I was paying it forward. So the best thing I could have ever done was work with Liana on this. I mean, she really helped me take the ideas in my head and make them really a physical product that exists. And her ideas and the sensibilities and the colors were, beyond what I imagined, and it was fantastic. So I love working with her.
Yeah, this was a great project because like I said, like this was something I've always wanted to do a deck. Like I've always wanted to do one. And when you talked to me about your idea, I could see it right away. I'm like, oh my gosh, let's do this together. And like you had said, these were transformational bits that they helped you through a tough time. And I had literally just probably a year prior been diagnosed with MS. So to me, I was like, oh, wow, this could be something that I could even do that would help to support that. So we built in some of that, which that's part of your business, which is giving back in some way. And it was like this perfect, like everything aligned on it. It was so perfect, the way that it all came together between the two of us, really.
Exactly. And that really speaks to a lot of the messaging because I really believe it does kind of all happen as it's supposed to. It never quite happens as fast as we think it should, but if you sort of trust that it's going to line up, it does. And then in this product, The design, which I like to speak about because everybody comments, has this little window, thanks to Liana and her great ideas. And what happens, whatever the messages are that we pull through, you can stick them through and you can see them through the window. So I often market it and talk about these cards as being kind of a low-tech, high-touch way to nudge yourself back to center. I mean, we are so digitally focused and everyone's like, oh, you should turn that into an app. And truthfully, I don't really want to. I mean, I love the fact that it's tactile and that it's a conversation starter. It's a prompt in classrooms. It's great for patients that are ill and helping their mindset, whether they're in the hospital or the caregivers. I've got teachers using them in fitness classes and I mean, all over the place. And what's really been unexpected and fun is how people write in or share how they use it. And so instead of trying to control how to do it, you sort of throw it out into the universe and let them show you.
Yeah, and you know, I was talking to a woman, we had never actually met in person. We just met it was online. It was like an online friendship. And I don't know if you'll remember this or not, but it was Malika. I don't even know her last name. I can't remember, Malhotra or something like that. I'll get it right. But I'll make sure I put a link in the notes. But she is a photographer and she was putting together a like a vision board type of thing or something. And she was asking for things to go in her goodie bag. And I was like, oh, that would be perfect. And I messaged you. And I literally just met her this past weekend. And she was like, oh my God. She's like, the women still post pictures from using the tool. Like she's like, they absolutely love it. And I'm like, that's what it's for. Like that is.
Exactly.
It's such a great thing. I took it into my son's school and the kids loved it there too. And, you know, mindfulness now, I think, and just being more in tune with like, you know, something that's offline, like you said, and not online, they really enjoyed it, which you don't think that kids would, but they did.
Right. I think there's a little bit of a need for that. And I know that I have, you know, moms with teenage sons that love to do this in the morning. Then they talk about it over breakfast. And you think, really? Like, how is that possible?
It's a great conversation starter. So saying that, you will have to just talk to us about how you use them, show us how it's done, because I do think it's a great process.
Well, I do like to pull some cards online on occasion when I have a little more time. But truthfully, you can use this daily, weekly, hourly. It just depends. Sometimes I walk into meetings and with my event clients, I know we talked about this, I start each meeting or each time I meet them for the first time with handing them a deck and doing this. And I feel like if they don't resonate with what I'm about to do with them, they're probably not my client. And most of them eat it up and love it. So what I do is I take the cards out of the deck. There's 53. I usually knock on them. I tend to hold them you knock on them with my non-dominant hand, which for whatever reason is my shtick, but you can do it. There's no rules. They're your desk to do it as you want. And then I shuffle them up. And then I usually spread them out on the desk, which might be harder. So I'm going to, I have one of these. We've got the little notes here. Let's shuffle them up again.
Shuffle them again.
That's okay. It all happens as it's supposed to. And so when I'm online, I usually will do this, and then I'll sort of throw it up to the universe and say, what is it that we need to hear? So what do we need for this one? And as I scroll across, one of them moves under my finger. Here we go. And that's the one we're supposed to pull. So the message today is, this is fantastic. It always knows. It says, you are here on purpose with a purpose.
Oh my God, that is so perfect.
Exactly.
They always are.
They really are.
They really always are.
So then it sits down. Let's put it there. We can see it. It's and then I'll nudge. And if I were to, be in a meeting with a client, I might say, well, there's a reason why I'm here, and what that is for me to find out.
Yeah.
But I could pull the same card tomorrow, and it might mean something different just based on what's going on. So they kind of never get old. You can always use them. You always lean back when need be. And I find that people that are sort of in distress or overwhelmed tend to turn to them. When everybody's happy, nobody's like, I'm good. But when they're not, or something tragic happens, they're looking for something to
Oh yeah, to bring it back in, to really center them. I totally agree. That's how I was. So that's why it did resonate with me when we were talking about, I'm like, I know, I want to work on this.
Right.
So what I'd love to touch on next is just kind of our process that we went through, because I do think it is unique what we did, because it didn't just end up that way. So I know when we worked together, I went ahead and I put together a couple of mood boards. I knew you a little bit. I knew kind of what you liked. I knew your style. So I kind of guesstimated initially, and we went ahead and we picked what we needed. We made some tweaks to it. We picked a color palette, type palette. And from that, like initially, I think I gave you, I think it was like 3 or 4 different box styles.
Right.
And we like looked at the box styles, figuring out which one we wanted. And when we went with this one, we knew that that was the right one to go with. And my story that I like to tell people with that cover, or with the box, the outer shell, is that was actually a painting that you had done. And you posted it online, and because I was like, what are we going to do on these cards now that we know the style, we know everything that's happening? And I'm like, I saw that, and I took it, and I just turned it into a piece of real art that we could use, and I comped it up for you, and you were like, what?
Stop it! That I will say, you did go above and beyond, because one of the things I like to do on the side, and as you can probably tell, I'm multi-passionate, or I have a lot of sides to my Rubik's Cube, is I like to draw mandala. So sometimes I draw them pen and ink, like just doodling, because I'm a doodler. Sometimes I paint them. And you went on, I think it was probably on my Facebook page or something, you grabbed one out of wherever, and you turned it, and it almost looked like a blueprint. So like the back of the box, it sort of looks this way. And the interesting part is I have an architecture degree. And so therefore I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like a blueprint of the mandalas I do, speaking the language I want, like could it be, and great design, which is like something that's important to me. Can it be any more awesome?
Yeah, it like, and when you told me all those things, I think I got goosebumps now thinking about it, because it really did come together in its own alignment, in a sense, like while we were working on it together. So I thought it was an awesome product thing to work on with you, especially because you are always so inspiring to me. But you'll have to tell us like what this has really done for you. Like how has this impacted your business? How do you use it and for your business? I'd love to learn about that, because I know that, you know, when people think about self-publishing, they think about a book. And, you know, this is anything farther. This couldn't be anything further from a book. It's a deck of cards. There's still content on it, but it's not a book. And so I'm just curious what this has done for you and how.
Well, one of the things, and I don't even know if you remember this, when it first started. So back from the event side of what I do, I used to do one pro bono job a year. And that was sort of my give back. Yeah. And eventually I just really got too busy to be able to afford to do that. And so I wanted to figure out, how do I bake in some philanthropy into what I do as well, and give back in a different way? And how do I create a passive stream of income? And so when we started working on this deck, and as you mentioned before, you were diagnosed with MS, and we baked in some goodness into like the actual business model, where we donated a portion of the proceeds to the MS Society in the first round. I should probably mention, we have had a couple of rounds of printing, which is great. And so in the first round, a portion of the proceeds all went to MS and in Liana's name. Mm-hmm. And that was fantastic.
Yeah.
And what we learned from it, because, you know, you kind of start and you don't even really know what you're doing. You just sort of know you're being pushed to do it, was a lot of other nonprofits enjoyed it, but they didn't always love that we were giving to MS, because they wanted us to give to their
exactly.
And so that sort of sparked on the idea, because the first round of decks were just in this blue and orange. Mm-hmm. And
which are, orange is MS color. So it was like, even that, it was like, oh my goodness, how did you not?
And then we had a lot of, for whatever reason, it touched a lot of breast cancer patients. And so what we did is we wound up coming up with a pink one, and not necessarily assigning it to breast cancer, but knowing that we could bake in that goodness for breast cancer awareness, it might be good for Valentine's Day, for Mother's Day. Like there was a little bit of thought that went behind it. And we also tweaked the design a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
A little more legible, a little more like round two. And I'm thrilled with it, and everybody else is as well. So what this has done for my business, not just in the event side, but allowed me a passive stream of income. I use it in whether I teach a spin class, whether I get up and speak, I do some public speaking and on personal development. And I use these cards all the time. It really doesn't matter. Time management, personal development, empowerment. These cards come with me wherever I go because it's a part of who I am. And it's a way to tell my message and, you know, create moments for people to feel the love in whatever that is. And what feel the love really means is following your gut and your intuition. It's not necessarily romantic love, although nothing wrong with that. It's about going into your heart over your head, like your intuition versus your ego.
I love that. I've always loved that part of it because, these products that we put out there, they really are, they come from your soul. They come from you. They come from like things that are ingrained in you, no matter if it is a book or a deck or some kind of planner. Like those are things that they bring out those parts that you want to share. And it's always a vulnerable thing, and it's not, it's one of those things where, you want everyone to just experience it because you know how life-changing it can be.
Right. And this really came out of me, about 10 years ago, I lost 50 pounds. And at that time, I was like embarrassed to even admit that. Like, I know that might sound wacky, but like everybody's head is different. But these were all the messages that I learned along the way as I lost the weight, kept it off, and then felt I could actually trust myself that I would keep it off or I would know what to do, that I wasn't scared anymore of like having to white knuckle it.
Yeah.
So then I felt able to speak about it and to share this. And it's been awesome the way it's kind of mushroomed.
And I know you've been very creative at getting it out there. So I'd love for you just to say a few things that you did that were a little bit different. Especially this isn't a product that's, in the bookstores, the big ones, but you've gotten it in lots of places. So I'm curious to see how you did that.
Well, that is something that I still work on because, when you have a different first revenue stream, it's hard to always manage this. But I do sell it on my website. I do sell it on Amazon. I have them placed in retail stores. I also have been moving into some of the the hospital gift shops.
Perfect.
And as opposed to like this stuffed animal in the bear, and they seem to really resonate with it. So they're just different avenues around it. But really what I'm looking to do now, and I even spoke to Hallmark about it, about having like a bigger brand kind of represented. And what they really wanted was a product line. So they didn't want just a single item. Yeah. And so that really spurred me into what does that look like into other products, and how do we make that happen, and how do we make that happen given that there are trademarks out there, and what does that look like? So the process of seeking a trademark for Feel the Love was like getting a master's degree.
Yeah, I know. That took you quite some time, and you had a lot of hoops to jump through for that one. Yes. And I think a lot of people don't realize that's part of the process, especially if you want it to become this bigger thing than just a product. Like if you really want it to have its own mission, really, when it comes to like a bigger mission for it.
Right. And that it's been 2 years, and it is a lot of money, and it is not for the faint of heart. But I really threw it up to the universe and was like, if I'm supposed to get it, that's what's going to happen. And I just really heard not too long ago. So that I'm really excited about what might happen next and how we're going to work together some more.
That's super exciting because, I already have a ton of ideas, and I know you have a ton of ideas. So it's like, which one do we start with, right? Like so I'm excited to talk about that. Mm-hmm. But how about like aside from that, like you were talking about the nonprofits and how they how we switched that, and I think something to me that was very interesting, and hopefully you still are doing it, but I thought you'll have to just speak on that one little sort of the nonprofit part of it, because I'm pretty excited about it, and I think that other people will be too.
Yes. And so what that looks like, and this could even happen for school districts, is that I have the ability to create separate pages for different nonprofits. And what'll happen is we can track the sales. If somebody buys from a specific link, that we give back basically $5 off of each deck to that nonprofit. So we are willing to let everybody brand it and sell it in their own stores or whatever it is. We just give them a unique URL for their customers to buy it. And it can go on forever. It could be a limited time. It could be just forever if that works for them. And it's kind of a win-win. And I always enjoy a win-win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think when you were telling me about it, I was super excited because that gives a lot of even just local people who are doing, fundraisers for their friends or family or the students. And it's such a positive thing. I know I took a couple decks into Nathan's school, and the nurse, she loved it. She would every day for the first, there's 56 cards, 53.
Right.
So she had a kid come in every day and pick a card, and then they got to stick it on the wall. And she was like, I need another deck of cards. And I'm like, I walked in and the room was filled with all the cards. And I was like, wow, this is wild. But she loved it because it was, and I thought, gosh, for the schools, I definitely think these kids need a little bit of, just mindfulness and just.
Absolutely. I actually have a school that we're talking to where they want us to do a big mural and come in and do a project and based on the message.
Yeah, that would be exciting.
And everyone's take on them is really unique, and it's great. And that to me feels like when we pulled the card, like you are here, on purpose with a purpose, like this feels like my purpose work.
Yeah, I totally agree. That was a perfect card for us today.
Yeah, well, isn't it always?
So you'll have to just say that, do you have any tips or just thoughts on the process, looking back at what we did and what we've accomplished? I'd love to just kind of hear your, your looking back view type of thing.
Sure, right? Telling my 2-year-old self or younger self. Well, first off, I think it's always great. It doesn't matter how creative you are. It is always great to co-create. So working with a designer is really important. And I pride myself in having a little bit of sensibility around it. But what happens is you get kind of clouded in your own vision, and it doesn't allow other ideas. And I always feel when you brainstorm, and this happens even on my events, whatever we co-create is greater than what we start with. Because everybody's input helps, raise each other or up-level each other's game a little bit.
I love that. That goes back to the name of your company too.
Yes, greater than we, which is right. The thing itself is greater than any one of the individual parts.
Yeah.
And so that kind of speaks to all of this. I would say you have to start before you're entirely ready. It's a little bit fearful. You always think, is this really it? Is it ever really done? And sometimes then you just have to go, I'm done. And this is what it's going to be. And the first round of deck, we noticed some stuff that we felt like we could improve upon the second round. And did it cost a little more money? Sure, but not that much. And you have to, it's like raising your game. If we're asking other people to raise their game, then we have to be able to do it too. So I would just say, sort of, maybe you're going to jump in a little bit before you're ready, trust the process, but you also have to work hard. Like I did not, we had a whole game plan of pre-sales.
Yeah.
So as that order went out and I wanted to create something in a way that I could wholesale it and then retail it and still have, we have to make money. Like it's this part of what this is about. And there's nothing wrong with being profitable. Like that allows you to do other things for other people, or to enjoy things for your family. Like we have responsibilities. So it's kind of reverse engineering, which is what I do for everything. Start at the end of where do we want it to be and how do we get it there by breaking it back down. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, and I remember that. So this was this was my second big custom product. Like it was a fully custom 100%. And there was a lot to learn in there, even for me, who I do this all the time, just in a different capacity. And, you know, it did take longer to get the shipping. We did get these printed overseas.
It is no joke that it really is a slow boat from China.
Yeah, it is a slow boat, and they do roll up with, you know, the big pallets of stuff to your house and say, "Where do you want this, ma'am?" But it is like it's definitely it's an exciting process on top of it, because I thought each phase that we went through, when we got the proofs, first we got the boxes, we got the cards. I think we even made adjustments to the cards, because I have the samples and they were a little tight in the box, and then the ones that we have, I think we might have asked them to do a thinner card. So it was just paying attention to those details while we were going through it. And
rounding the edges, like so.
And the edges, yeah, because it seemed like some of them
right.
weren't exactly right, but like we went through all that stuff, and it was great, because it was such a great collaborative process. Just like you said, I enjoyed every bit of it. It was fun to see it come to life, and now to see them. My friends, my mom has them. Everybody has them. Even every once in a while, someone will pop up and they'll tag me in it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're using them. This is awesome.
I love it. Well, and I think that also collaboration, like what was really great about working with you is you were really transparent about, all right, this is the first time I've done this, so let's figure it out together, as opposed to, you know, some people will tell somebody something as though they have the experience that they don't have, and then when it doesn't go their way, you're blaming everybody else. Like, we just went through it together, and we're like, all right, let's unpack this and see what this looks like.
Yep. And it was a great learning process, and it's for the benefit of all, to be quite honest. It's
exactly.
Awesome. So
well, everyone, honestly, once these came out, then I get many, many messages of, I want to make a deck. How do you make a deck? How did you do this? Or whatever. And I pass along your name. Yeah. But they really comment on that window. Like that is a well thought out design. And I, you know, credit you with that. And I love it.
Yeah, it was a good one. A very good idea on that one. So, but now you'll have to tell everyone where they can find you, what you have coming up, all those good details, and I'll make sure that I include all of that as well, because I want people to get their copies. The holidays are coming up. It's a perfect time. So it's definitely relevant this time or any time of year, but I also think too with the give back aspect of it is awesome as well.
So I will happily create a code to save 20%. We'll figure out what that is, and you can put that in the links. Okay. That works for you, for anybody that wants to buy them. But you can find me at susiemordoh.com. That's probably where that code's going to work the best.
Okay.
Or on Amazon, and I'm sure I can plug it in there. We'll have to manage that. That's like an 8-digit.
A new thing for us to figure out.
Well, there's a whole thing with Amazon, so we'll try to make it all the same. So either way, it's, we could do that. What I've been doing, you mentioned the vision board workshop, and I've been hosting some of those here. So you can look online if you're in Westchester or anywhere nearby. I would love to have you. I'm going to be doing a few in January. So I'm going to start doing that now. And that's where you can find me. I'm at susiemordoh.com, greaterthanwe.com. But if we're looking at the decks, head over to Susie Mordoh or over to Amazon.
Well, that's awesome. I have a question before we wrap this up, which is the Amazon aspect of it. Sure. Because you don't necessarily have Amazon fulfill them.
I do not.
So I would love for you even just to tell us a little bit about that, because a lot of people that do self-publish will have their items either shipped directly through there if it's created through CreateSpace or whatever, KDP, or if they have any other kind of self-published piece, they can send it physically to Amazon for them to fulfill. But how does that work if you're fulfilling it yourself?
Well, and it has changed since we first started, but you can have, it's changing all the time. So hopefully by the time we air this, it won't be different.
Yeah.
You can have it be seller fulfilled, and you can actually now be on Prime as seller fulfilled. But what's happening, and I'm trying to get that status, there's a certain time period. So and you have to sell a certain number of decks within that time period, and then you get Prime status. Where that's a newer offering, and that's only in the last, let's say, 6 months that they let members be on Prime. So I'm working hard on that. And you can just ship it out. What they do have is very strict guidelines. So you need to get that out within, like, let's say 2 days of the order. So it's not something you can be on top of. It's not great. But now they also offer the ability for you to buy postage online. So you can generate your postage stickers right off of the order, which is life-saving.
Oh, wow. That's
massively helpful. It's much less expensive than it's less expensive than the post office, much less, I don't know. But the minute you generate your postage, it's considered shipped.
Wow.
So that really helps when you're fulfilling it yourself. You don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, it's Friday, I'm not going to get to the post office till Monday. Is that going to be okay? Because that's a lot to think about and manage.
Oh yeah, especially if you're running another business. And like you said, like this is it can be a passive income stream. Like even if you're not, actively out there selling it, people are finding it online or finding it through friends or finding it different ways. So you don't want to have that stress of trying to get it fulfilled within a certain amount of time. So that's pretty awesome that all those changes, they have been changing.
All the time. And it is for the better. I will say, just having that one product didn't feel like it made sense for me to have them fulfill it. Because it's not like I was getting these crazy large orders. They were like individual orders. And I kind of like to write a little note or have a little stamp where it feels like it's coming from a person as opposed to this warehouse.
Yeah, you do package them nicely. It's like a present. Like it has like you have custom tissue paper in there. You have a note card in there. You have stickers.
Yes.
Like you had all kind of So it comes with a little added love, I would say. So some Susie love in there. So. Well, Susie, again, I'm so glad that we finally got to meet up. It's been too long, my friend. We waited too long to talk to each other, but hopefully we'll get to see each other more on the regular like we used to. But I totally appreciate you. I thank you so much for trusting me with this project because it was something that, I knew how dear it was to you. So I'm just thankful that I was able to work with you on it. So
the thanks are all mine because you truly made a dream come true. And that's what you do.
Well, thank you very much. So we will talk to you. We'll talk to each other soon, and I will put all the links in the show notes. And again, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you more. Feel the love.